talking about the bigger, better, it was always exhilarating. But I'm going to use this term to make sure that we accelerate a bit more. We're going to accelerate in the area of middle to upper income. Not ending anything to do with low income, but just making sure that there are those professionals. I want to see all of those people who are back from the universities, married perhaps, two income to family income, 9, 10, $8,000, $9,000 a month, $10,000 a month, into your own middle income home, with your transportation to take you across the country, to pay your mortgage, student loan. That's what we want to see. You must not be there struggling because you can't fit into a low income home because you're not low income. And if you can't fit into the rich places, other people who build in the rich places satisfy you as well. We have to satisfy you as well. And that's what we're going to work on this next year. As a matter of fact, Madam Deputy Speaker, I am currently discussions with an entity to get involved in heavy production of homes. I'm also in discussion with another local investor who I would want to encourage, and who has agreed to look at 2 or 3 projects right here in St. Kitts. One of them in my hometown, one of them in Lindsay's area, and one of them in Sandy Point, and others because we want to satisfy the needs of those persons whom I just mentioned to do with housing. We're going to target those middle-income professionals, but we're not going to lose sight of what we're doing with our low-income homes. Let me, Madam Deputy Speaker, point out that in the last 5 years, one of the focuses of this ministry was on those low-income, low-cost housing for those who are at the low end. And we've had so many applications for people who do not fall in that category that what we have ended up doing is basically asking them to go to the bank to borrow, and then we will see how we can facilitate them with building, because they did not fall in that category. Remember, Madam Deputy Speaker, that when we embarked on what we call the Unity Housing Program, one of the things we did, we reduced the interest rate at a scale from 2% to a maximum of 5%. So based on the level of income, there were persons who were getting a 2% mortgage. Nowhere else in the world, I don't know if anybody could point one, that you can hear 2% mortgage. That's what we have at NHC. And the funny thing is, they were getting that on a super improved home. Remember, the previous administration never used to paint the homes. They never used to put in any cupboards. No tiles. They build the thing and give you. So when you move in, you have to try to knock up some things in there. When we build you a home today, you walk into your home and it's fit for purpose. The bedrooms became bigger, now 2 beds could hold in there. The bathrooms became bigger, you could do a little exercise in there as well. The roof became hard, we moved from shingles to galvalume. And some of them are concrete roof as well. Then of course you have a nice veranda outside, well, with a railing and everything, you can sit down behind it, you can't fall off the landing so easy now. That's the kind of improvement that we did. And, Madam Deputy Speaker, if you see the kitchen cupboards there, it's like when you walk into Hilton. True. Some of these local guys who could make cupboards, they're good. We underrate them, they're good. Those guys out there making cupboards for the houses, somebody find them, they are very, very good. We call them, we own too much, man. But they're good. I'm telling you. I don't want to get a cupboard from overseas again, I want them built by the local people. I ain't going to hospital and things to buy anymore. Hospital ain't got nothing against you, neither utility. But I want the local people build it. I like how the local people build. They're good. Believe me, they are very good. But during that period, Madam Deputy Speaker, we succeeded in focusing on, that 5-year period, focus on 512 homes. Listen, Independence Habitat, they were completed in 2015 to 2016. 92 of them. 92. Under the Unity Housing Solutions, we tell you we have built 300, we did 334. 334. Then we had some bank-funded houses, 86 of them. We worked at NHC to bring about what I will describe as a housing revolution. One that's a bigger, better, and I like to describe them, Madam Deputy Speaker, as houses and homes fit for kings and queens. When you move into your home, you move in your furniture, and you live. Will some of them have problems? Any house you build will have a little problem. But I want to say to persons, you have 3 months, and if necessary, I'll extend it to 6 months, to find any error, anything wrong that needs to be fixed. But I find people coming to NHC all 10 years after want NHC to fix something that they done built 10 years ago. That's not supposed to happen. The house is yours. I don't have a problem getting anything remedied in 6 months. 3 months, 6 months. But to come 10 years after to tell me your tiles caking up. Who tell you show water on your tiles? Or who tell you leave something happen, make the tiles coming up after 10 years? It is your responsibility, it is your home. Take care of your home. And you know, Madam Deputy Speaker, I should not move on from housing without saying what a challenge we're having. It's a huge challenge. So we built 2 homes, carried it from 756 square feet to 862 square feet. So we moved the shingle off the roof and gave you galvanized and concrete. So we put proper metal banisters and handrails on the veranda. So we improved the cabinetry inside so it looked first class. So we changed some of the shutters from Miami shutters. Now we walk up to the front, you got glass windows. It never used to be. Now we've done all that. Some persons are still not paying good. And it had nothing to do with COVID. Some persons are delinquent and it has nothing to do with COVID. Listen here. Folks, if you're out there and you're having a problem paying for anything, including your home, the best thing to do is to walk into the institution and chat with the people there and get something sorted out. There's always a remedy. Find a way to deal with it. The worst thing you could do is to miss a payment. Because when you miss, you got to pay interest on. So you pay more money for the property that you have if you miss a payment, because when you miss, you're paying additional interest. So whereas you were target, you probably had to pay 100,000 for your house, you end up paying 112 because you missed payments and you're paying late. It's the worst thing you can do. It is much better for you to go into the institution, sit down and talk, and do some work so that you are current. Rescheduling or something if you want to save money. You are hurting only you when you pay late. You're not hurting the institution, you know. You're not hurting NHC or the bank or what it is. You're hurting yourselves when you pay late. And if the bank tells you pay 500 a month, pay 6. Because if you pay 6, you were targeted to pay 100,000. When you pay 6, you end up paying 95,000 or 80,000. Because you pay more, the interest gets less. Simple. Now, some people feel when you tell them pay 500, I pay 500 because we can't afford it. You can't afford it, you end up paying more. You are enslaving yourselves. So I'm appealing to you, those of you who are there, especially for NHC, please Go in and sit with the management team. Have a chat with them. Tell them what's going on in there. Let them do something. You know, some of us live in a house, right? When we got the house, our child was 10. 7 years later, the child is 17. 8 years later, the child is 18. The child started to work. And we ain't make no change. But the child working and the child could contribute, isn't it? He house too. And the extra $100 saved you money. But the child come big. And the child has drink more beer out on the road and drink up everything and nothing going into which part is sleeping every night. You can change that. Every person has a responsibility to make sure that when they pay, don't let nobody get your name apart. Take your name out of people's mouth. Pay once you can. Or go to the institution and get some adjustment done. Madam Deputy Speaker, I want now to turn to, well, I should actually, before I go, indicate to you that where we are at NHC at the moment, when I got the ministry in 2015, it was never audited. Remember, this institution is from 1996. There was an attempt to audit somewhere around 2000. Did not complete because of a number of concerns in the management letter. But never revisited. I imagine that what happened is that my friend Dr. Harris was no longer Minister of Housing and it became carried by my opponent who I defeated, who probably never paid no attention to that, Cedric Lyman. And then afterwards to ask him, and they were not interested in that. But I'm interested in that. So what we have done, I have got my accounts people, new people who I got in, to bring the accounts up to date from all the way back down in the early 2000s, all the way up to 2019, and it's now being audited. Properly audited, so that I could bring it and table it here sometime this term. That is where NHC must be audited, and it must hit the table of the Parliament as soon as possible. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, I'll say no more on housing, except to say 2021 through 2025, or whenever the Prime Minister decides to call the election. Huh? Well, we will continue on our thrust for providing homes for those who cannot move the bank. You see what kind of language I'm using? You go bank and you ain't qualified. How you going to get a house? And you got 3 and 4 in your family. That's where we're coming at NHC. And then, of course, those who are above that threshold, we're now working on that, as I mentioned earlier. Now, I need to speak, Madam Deputy Speaker, about, you see, I did talk about the delinquency at housing, and rather than going to all of it, it's a sad state to look at it, to tell you the truth. But let me leave that. You don't mind using this, sir? Let me leave that. Madam Deputy Speaker, you heard me calling the names of the field on Sandy Point. Some Westmoreland and all them kind of names here. You used to go Kane, look Kane? Oh. So you're not, okay. Only no Sagilis, okay.
And Cranston, I used to go to Cranston in my early days. So if you and Foy's.
Yes. When he's familiar with Foy's. You ever celebrate Foy's?
Madam Deputy Speaker, one of the focuses for 2021 through 2025 is, of course, universal health insurance. It is something which we began to work on in the previous 5 years. What we did was we put together a commission headed by Azilla Clark. We invited the University of the West Indies Health Economics Unit to partner with us. They were on the ground for 12 months. And they did their work and produced what they call a blueprint for the implementation of universal health insurance. We then engaged Monroe Chappell, the actuaries. One of the leaders in that firm is Derek Osborne, who is well known to us as the person who does work for Social Security, in fact, most of the security systems in the region. So they did the costing of that project. The project is of significant cost, but the benefits, I believe, will be better for all of us who will stop looking at the cost. So, I want to point out to you why it is important to have universal health. Here's a letter written on the 14th of December, 2020. I must say I did invite him to tell me, the person, what work he has been doing to help persons in need. And this is what he wrote. Most recently, I should tell you it is Mickey Weintraub. He has a foundation called Mickey's Hope. He said, most recently I needed to raise, and did raise, $345,860. This is one man raised that kind of money for overseas medical treatment for individuals unable to afford their treatment. Two of the individuals are not expected to survive more than a few weeks to 2 months, absent of surgeries. Two others were cancer patients. Current survival rate statistics for one of these cancer patients was 18% with radiation treatment, but 92 to 95% with early radiation treatment. The other had cancer of the right testicle. In the recent past, I also needed to raise another $186,693. 6 cancer patients, with 4 of them being breast cancer, 1 stomach cancer, and 1 cervical cancer. This chap has been single-handedly using his connections worldwide to raise money for people in St. Kitts and Nevis who find themselves in the unfortunate position of not being able to pay for their treatment, whether here or abroad. He tells me, for example, you need $99,900 for an individual in need of tricuspid valve replacement. You hear me talk about pulmonary artery and superior vena cava this morning, right? The tricuspid valve is one of the 2 main valves on the right side of your heart. And that is what needs to be replaced. It is a top priority for me, he says. And at the moment, having been informed that this individual will die absent surgery, then he says he has to waive another $89,900 for someone with aneurysm. Again, you know what that is, some enlargement, bulging, if you will, of some people have aneurysms of the heart, some have of the head, because, there's this bulging which takes place, and then, of course, it could rupture, resulting in death. $36,000 for a patient with cancer, RMS. $32,000 for an individual in need of surgery for a total reconstruction of the anus. $72,900 for an individual in need of a kidney transplant. $82,000 for an individual in need of surgery to restore his hearing. $90,000 is for medical bills incurred in the treatment of leukemia. And he goes on and on and on. And I mention this to tell you that there comes a time, if not in your own life, in some of your family's life, where they are faced with bills to pay for health-related incidences, and nothing could be worse, painful for you who are not sick, to be depressed by the fact that your family member is not in a position to access the services that they need. So not only sickness for them, it becomes sickness for you. And that is why I believe that we should embrace the concept of universal health. So let me tell you, don't think that I'm talking about universal health for free. I know everybody will want everything free. You all put on your pads, because I believe people should pay. The concept of pooling all of the resources of a greater number, the large number of persons, will make it easy for everybody to get care. The law of large numbers will ensure that there is equality, both in benefits as well as in any payment. Don't be surprised and pad up if you have to pay 5% of your income. So what? When you have somebody when you find somebody in your family who need $89,000 for an aneurysm, you have it? Or you feel good when you know universal health can pay for it? Think about it. When your mother tells you she went to the doctor and the diagnosis she got breast cancer, and what she has to raise is $90,000, and you ain't have it, it could rip the heart out of you. That is why you need universal health insurance. At least you know, even if she does die, the opportunity was provided to her to be able to do something about it. And let's face it, I talk about your mother, it could be you. Can your mother alone get sick? You too. So, we are working on universal health. So this coming year, while it is true that we've had COVID and all of our revenues are in shatters, and it may slow down the process of implementation, we are not going to lose sight of implementing universal health as we go to 2021. And you'll hear more about it. We are at the point, however, where we have to look at the legislative framework for the implementation of universal health. Why? After all, if it's going to be salary reduction, we have to have something on which to stand to be talking about salaries and paying for. Dealing with it, we can't just pull it out of the air. It has to be properly legislated. So we're going to be looking at the legislative framework in short order. We're going to be looking at the time of commencement, whether it is this 2021 or 2022. We're going to be looking at the commencement and how to raise the money to pay for it. Not losing sight of the fact that you need to know what benefits are going to be provided. What all I'm going to be paid for. That has to be done. But I'm talking about we have to make sure that it's sustainable. And so in 2021, we're going to cover all that ground and be ready for when the cabinet and the country says, go, then we will go. Universal health, ladies and gentlemen, I consider it to be one of the significant decisions any government can make. And we've made some important decisions in this country, you know. We made some important decisions. I remember the land acquisition, which I spoke about from Robert Bratcher's time. There were many persons who were against it, you know. But it turned out that land acquisition, which was paid for $22 million, they don't make $22 million more than 15 times. Major decision. But it was made. I remember Social Security, when Social Security was being formed, you know how many people were against it? Well, put your hand in my money. Nobody want them. Even though people out there ain't paying the Social Security. Huh? And some of them vexed because they ain't get $1,000, you know, and they ain't paying. I'm saying those are major decisions, landmark decisions. People over 65 today getting the only income because of that. Important decisions. But it was not popular when it was being done. There was an important decision. Abolition of personal income tax. You know, even though people still say wrong. But what it did, it drove so much money in the pockets of people that there was the propensity to consume triggered. People were having $100 for the first time and people began to spend. Eventually, government got more money than they will ever get from personal income tax. Listen, there was a time, if you, I must look for the legislation. When you reach $2,000 threshold, 55% tax was for the government. So can you imagine when you make $2,000, $1,100 is the government own? That's how it was, That was what the tax thing was. 55% was the top tax on personal income. Which means if you're a guy working for $2,000, $1,100 is the government own. So those are your minimum wage, all about or thereabout. $1,100 would have been the government own. That was taken away with the abolition of personal income tax. Yes, you might say that there were other things that came in, but that left $1,100 in your pocket if you were earning $2,000 a month. Landmark decisions. Citizenship by investment. Can you imagine St. Kitts was the first place to come up with this thing about citizenship by investment in 1984? In 1984, St. Kitts and Nevis were the first to come up with this thing about citizenship by investment. First in the world. Today, everybody around the world rushing to do what St. Kitts did. And even though they're being fought now by all kind of institutions, we have benefited from it big time. You remember that time there was something called SIDF had in over $1 billion? Private foundation. It was supposed to be a government foundation and make it private. $1 billion in there.
You remember you asked for the information?
I came here, yes. I came here and asked and what was the answer at the time? Let's see if I remember that. Yes, I'm Minister of Finance. Can you tell me about the SIDF and the ownership and how much money and so? What are you asking me? What you asking me? You have to go look for the information for yourself. It's a private foundation. They got nothing.
Ask the foundation.
Ask the foundation. Government money, And that was the answer when I asked the question in here. Right? Yeah, but listen, you all don't know we've gone through in this parliament here, That's why sometimes when I hear people say they're going back to they want it, I just wonder where they're going.
When you ask for the number of passports, will you answer that?
Yes. I mean, Southeast Peninsula Road. You know how much criticism the government get? Road to nowhere. I never hear more. And now it is the road to everywhere. Nevis too. I mean, that's what we have. Major decisions that have improved the quality of life of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, reaping great benefits for our people. Port Zante, they want the water wash it with. Port Zante. Can you imagine that? Those of you who don't know before Port Zante, you think of St. Kitts without Port Zante. But they wanted water to wash it away. Major decisions affecting the quality of our lives. We have made major decisions in the past, even independence. It was coming, yes, but even that. Detractors here and there. But we have made major decisions in the past. We have been a sort of pioneering country. And we must continue to pioneer. While universal health may not necessarily be pioneering because others have done it, let us take responsibility for ensuring that those who are less fortunate than us, whenever they get sick, they know how they're going to get their medical bills or the services. Even if not getting the bill, they get the services that they need. That's what they need. And so, universal health is coming. And if you're out there, Derek Fates, I know you're listening. He's a man who always tries to encourage me to keep on going with universal health, so I can say that. Then, of course, we have Social Security. I have already interjected matters about Social Security, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I think I spoke already to how Social Security was treated by the previous administration. So I quickly want to look at, because this is at one point, Madam Deputy Speaker, The 8th actual report had that the funds would be exhausted in 2052. The 12 valuations say 2036 to 2041. Sooner rather than later. As Minister of Social Security, I have the task now to make sure that the direction changes, that we go back towards the 2052 and beyond. So that a lot of the investments, these frivolous investments, wicked investments, Beacon Heights and so where money just tossed away, we have to do something about that. Because that was the way of the past, we now have to look to the future. Of course, we're going to improve our compliance and collections and contributions because millions out there on the road. Millions out there we have to collect what we have on the road. We're going to leverage our technology to improve the service delivery at Social Security. Of course, we're going to look at the parametric reforms of the Social Security system. And in that regard, I can tell you that discussions, as recommended by the actuary, are going on, talking about increasing pensionable age from 62 to 65, talking about adjustments of the minimum pension. I think something was done in that regard already, from 3,900 to a little higher. Changing the age pension to retirement pension, where pension is only paid once employment ceases. Contribution rate to be increased, their suggestion of 13%. Qualifying conditions for age pension moved from 150 to 300. Increasing number of years over which insurable wages average can be calculated to calculate pension. In other words, not in the last 15 years. Increase the current taxable ceiling from 6,500 to maybe 8,500 or 10,000. At the moment, it's only those who up to 6,000 pay. So that people, over years, people's salary have gone up, so therefore we can look at raising the ceiling. And there's a whole set of things recommended by the actuary for us to consider in 2021. Social Security will work on these in conjunction with universal health so that we do not overburden the taxpayer with our deductions. So we look forward to moving along with Social Security in 2021. One of the major things we have to do is Beacon Heights. I'll tell you more about that in the future. So, I want Mr. Speaker to turn to solid waste. And Madam Deputy Speaker, I want to turn to solid waste. Yeah, I got till 12:30. I'm in good time. Madam Deputy Speaker, I want to tell you that when the leader of the opposition made his presentation, he had nobody in the gallery. I did not invite them; they came on their own. I applaud them for that. These are people who work hard, making sure that our surroundings are safe and clean. You don't understand. A lot of people don't understand the humongous task that they take on every day. So I want to thank them for coming to be here. I want to thank them for being here. Thank them for the hard work that they do. A lot of what's happening at solid waste, Madam Deputy Speaker, is driven by a 5-point plan which was instituted a couple of years ago. The 5-point plan spoke to a national cleanup, embarked on a national cleanup campaign. The first time we did it cost over $200,000. $200,000. Every community was able to get bins. These folks are working overtime and they're collecting the overtime. Well, I don't know. They're working overtime, weekends and so on, helping to move all the garbage. You know what we're trying to do, Madam Deputy Speaker? People have a way. Minister of Environment, I can say it?
Of course.
For me, that's nasty.
I didn't say it, I let me for you to say it.
Okay, well, I wouldn't say it then. People have a way, Madam Deputy Speaker. They just throw down things.
Oh, yes.
Push it in the bush.
That was that.
You're drinking out of a bottle, drop it on the street. Some of them walking with the new children, the children open the box. Child turn on the box, they wouldn't even say, not darling, take it up.
And they throw it out the window.
And it seemed like nothing, but it adds up. If a lot of people doing it, it's plenty garbage. End up in the drain, down underneath the thing, you can't get it out. Some go down in the sea, stifling, choking out the corals and so. Madam Deputy Speaker, we got to stop it. People in St. Kitts and Nevis, you got to stop it. It is
Honourable
harmful.
Member for number 8, your time is expired.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I appreciate with your permission, I'll ask my colleagues for another half an hour. I would like to ask for another hour.
The
I'll ask for another half an hour.
The question is, should the Honourable Member for number 8 receive 30 minutes? Those in favour? Those against? The ayes have it.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Thank you, my colleagues, for the extra half an hour. Now I have to speed up. Madam Deputy Speaker, I was talking about the littering. The littering has become as if it's just a pastime. I mean, it's unfortunate, really. I remember going down the street there one day, I saw the bottles on I think it's not Pan Road, the one going down to the bay. Forget the name, adjoining the Pan Road. Sundown Road. Bottles could fill 2 trucks. And I thought, wow, they were just choking off the drain. So water wouldn't go through. It's amazing. Folks, if you're listening to me, I am one person you should listen to. I know you heard the Minister of Environment the other day, but I agree with him.
Yes.
Stop shutting all your bottles, so man. It ain't right.
No.
There are containers around, put them in the containers. Listen, here's the danger. Let me see if I can help you to understand the danger. You throw them something on the street. It can collect water. Water breeds mosquitoes. Mosquitoes carry disease. Dengue, chikungunya, Zika. What else? What the other one is? All those are things that can be spread. They are called vector-borne diseases. You are contributing to spreading illness across the country. Prospect of spreading illness across the country. Stop it.
I agree with you. Stop it, yes.
We have containers around the street. We have got this as part of our plan. Stop littering. I am asking those who name litter wardens, summons them. Don't afraid to summons them. When you summons one or two, the rest can stop. You all here? Summons one or two, the rest can stop.
Yes, sir.
We have to stop it. It's part of the 5-point plan, cleaning up. We removed all of those old fridge, old stove, kind of garbage out there just next to your home and carry them to the landfill. And then, of course, we introduced a new connection model so that we would miss no place. Everywhere was getting service once. As a matter of fact, we even went to treating places twice a week. Say it again? Yes, it's bad all over, man. A new collection model. Each zone, the days were increased from a sporadic delivery of service to twice weekly. 3 new 20 yards compactor trucks were purchased by solid waste. 3 new trucks to help to facilitate the collection of waste. We put our money where our mouth is. These guys go on the radio, you hear them talking and promoting and telling you about the removal of garbage, discussing with you, and I want us to give them the support that we can, because they're supporting us. Then we moved along, and we introduced some smart bins. If you ain't got none, don't say nothing. We introduced smart bins because we wanted 12,000 bins we gave out, 12,000 bins were distributed across the country so that we could determine right at your door quantities and the level of garbage that we collect. Because we want to know the numbers, because the data drives decisions. And the data we collect will help us to drive any decision that we're going to make in the future. Because, we're talking about things like waste to energy. That's our future moves, turning some of that waste to energy. And we have been discussing with the people who have been doing this for years. Advanced discussions on the way. Of course, the technology includes gasification. It is capable of resolving urgent issues of pollution, causing, or I should say, preventing the landfill expansion. One of the hopes is that once we get to the point of waste to energy, it would reduce the importance of adding additional cells, very costly additional cells, so that if we could avoid having to build more cells for millions of dollars, then of course waste to energy will be a benefit, not only for reducing the cost of energy, helping to reduce the cost of energy, but also for preventing us from having to do additional expensive cells. If after all we don't do that, where are we going to find a place to put garbage? We can't really have to find another garbage site, isn't it? We're hoping that we don't have to do that. Then of course we started we were looking at the National Recycling Program. This proposes an integrated approach to waste minimization through the built-in of 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle, in our overall effort at waste separation at its source as we work towards becoming a zero waste nation. I should add, as part of this overall cleaning up, we engage with, what resources is again? The name escapes me now. What they've been doing is bailing out our hard metal, or metal. Old cars, old fridge, anything metal have been bailed out by these, the team which now is engaged at solid waste. I am trying to find a name here. Enclave, I think it is. Enclave Resources?
Yes,
Enclave Resources. So far, Madam Deputy Speaker, they have moved out, they have bailed out of the country over 1 million pounds of metal. That's a load of metal was out there in the grass and all over the place, you know. 10 million pounds, sorry. I'm calling the figure wrong, Madam Deputy Speaker. 10 million pounds of metal, old car, old fridge, whatever they have bailed that out of the country. It might return in some other new vehicle you're driving, but for the time being it's bailed out of the country. So that the solid waste is engaged in a lot of work helping to keep our environs really clean. And they need your support. I go back to the point. Tossing down even a small piece of paper where it's not supposed to be tossed is wrong. Never mind tossing down things like bottles and these box drinks and all of those things. Because they are a source of life, if you will, for mosquitoes and other things, rodents, all kinds of things that can spread disease. Zika came, it disappeared, you know it gone. Chikungunya came, it disappeared, you know it gone. Since none of us know it gone, let's try and do things to make sure that it don't come back. Because you don't know. And carrying on those habits could easily feed into helping to promote the propagation of those diseases through our rodents. Madam Deputy Speaker, our overall aim at Solid Waste Management Corporation is to satisfy, apart from satisfying what is good, doing good, apart from all of that, we are feeding into all of those sustainable development goals that the whole world has been talking about. You know, there's 17 those goals that have been talked about. We feed into Sustainable Development Goal 11, 7, 14, 13, 15, all of them, some element of what solid waste management is doing helps us to achieve those goals as set by the United Nations. So we can't lose sight of that. We have promised, we have pledged to respond in a way so that we could reduce all kind of emissions, reduce all kind of having clean water, making sure that we have good health, and we must continue to do our little part in our little home, right near to the bin where you, that's why we gave you a bin, you know. We gave you a bin. We are trying to get you to understand things must go in the bins. You didn't have to pay for it. Maybe we have to get some more. But we are trying to educate you. Put the things in the receptacle so that we could transport them properly to the landfill and dispose of them in the most efficient way possible to drive energy, as well as to make sure that there is no spreading of disease, which is borne by mosquitoes and the like. And so, Madam Deputy Speaker, there's a lot I can probably say about Solid Waste Management Corporation, but I hope that the team who is here do not feel upset that I didn't say enough. But as you can see, I'm running down on time and I have to go to Social Services, Gender Affairs. And I will turn to Social Services and Gender Affairs. I'll just close off this section by saying, in my capacity as Minister with responsibility for Solid Waste Management Corporation, I'm delighted, Mr. Speaker, to use this occasion once again to thank the management, the staff, the board of directors, all of them for their outstanding commitment to quality service to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and to offer again my commendation to the commendation of the ministry for their ongoing quest to ensure high levels of efficiency, high standards, and we look forward to them having more and more capable persons in the organization to deliver those services. Let me therefore turn to Social Services, Gender Affairs. Madam Deputy Speaker, at the Department of Gender Affairs, there was a partnership between the Chamber of Industry and Commerce and the department, providing $20,000 worth of food vouchers for clients of Gender Affairs in both St. Kitts and Nevis. At the same department, UN Women donated masks that were distributed to groups who work closely with the department and victims of gender-based violence. The department got involved in a rehabilitation program for females. Those who were inmates had been served by the department. However, because of COVID, there was a slowdown, a bit of an inaction, if you will, interaction even, between the department and those who were inmates. But they have had the opportunity to benefit from improving their skill, braiding and sewing and manufacturing of bags, crochet and hair braiding and sewing and manufacturing of bags, so that when they do return to society, if they cannot find when they are again freed from prison. There was a one-week workshop for teen mothers and at-risk girls. And this, of course, was sponsored by UNICEF. It was a tremendous success despite all of the COVID challenges. The second tranche of funding from UNESCO is expected to support the gender quality, the National Gender Quality Action Plan. Madam Deputy Speaker, the department was unable to launch the Boys Mentorship Program this year. Again, challenges with COVID. One of the things that was accomplished in this term was an updating, you will, of certain reports, which had been suspended since 2002. It would appear as if some of the reports had been overdue. They have now been able to take care of it. In 2021, there will be a focus on pastry making, backyard gardening and sewing. Those will be taught to the same inmates at the prison as part of the rehabilitation program. The department will partner also with Craft House so that those prisoners could benefit from the expertise of those at the Craft House. The prospects of training 30 women and girls in leadership and governance and democracy is something we look forward to in 2021. We also look forward to partnering with development agencies to have vulnerable women enrolled in skills training and other skills training programs. Madam Deputy Speaker, under community and social development, 632 males benefited from school uniforms. 604 females benefited from school uniforms. Those persons who had someone who died, 17 families benefited from some support for their burial. 17 males actually, and 20 females benefited. So some 37 people, 37 families I will say, benefited from financial support from the Community and Social Development Ministry in dealing with a lost family in 2020. Madam Deputy Speaker, food voucher, 66 male-headed homes got vouchers for food. 221 female-headed homes got vouchers for food. Medical assistance, Madam Deputy Speaker, I should break this down a bit. There's a Zone 1, East Bastier, Connery and St. Peter's. 12 males, 36 females got eye care support. 52 males, 49 females got cancer treatment support. 2 females were assisted going overseas. 4 males, MRI. 3 females, MRI. Surgery, 3 males, 2 females. In Zone 2, Central and West Bastier, 19 males got eye care support, 58 females. Cancer, 59 males, 80 females. Overseas, 1 male and 2 females were assisted in that zone. MRI, 1 male, 1 female were assisted in that zone. And for surgery, 3 males and 4 females. Rather than list all of the zones, Madam Deputy Speaker, let me just say, in total, 66 males got support from the ministry dealing with eye care. 221 females got support. In terms of cancer treatment, 267 males, 320 females. For overseas treatment, 4 males, 5 females. Services from the MRI, 8 males, 10 females. Surgery, 16 males, 7 females. We think that in 2021, there will be a heightened focus on the role of seniors under the Seniors Enrichment Program in an effort to ensure that our seniors live a dignified and purposeful life and that we age gracefully. There will be a focus on improving the management of the community centers. We're having a challenge with the community centers, of course, as you know. Maintenance is a challenge, so we have to put some more focus on that in 2021. It may mean that some services at the health centers may have to be paid for. It may mean that. You will hear more about that as we go on into 2021. Madam Deputy Speaker, under the counselling department, the ministry provides important counselling for, when you consider that there's so many battered persons who are in need of counselling. The ministry provides counselling services. And so in 2020, there was the creation of 2 Family Matters Counseling positions. 8 Family Matters counselors were retained by USAID. Under the funding agreement, salaries were covered by USAID. Also in 2020, they continue to engage vulnerable families in the Family Matters Intervention Program to reduce the level of risks identified to the administration of the Youth Service, the Youth Service Eligibility Tool. The Family Matters Intervention has achieved excellent overall results in risk reduction in the families who have been part of the program. There's a 73% average was achieved over a 2-year cycle. 2020 cohort of Families for Family Matters had 48 families at start, with 35 completing the program and several families, of course, dropped out. However, in the cohort, there was an impressive 90% reduction in overall risk factor identified. And so, in 2020 also, the tracking was implemented for persons seeking psychological support during COVID-19. The Counseling Department and the JNF Psychological Services collaborated on that issue. The numbers indicate that during the height of the lockdown and immediately after, the department responded to 156 cases for psychological support that were related to COVID. In 2021, the intention is to continue with training the professionals, expanding the counseling department to a national counseling center. In that regard, to create a deputy director position for counseling. It's already agreed to, and while I will leave that there. It's already agreed to. Madam Deputy Speaker, on the probation and child protection services, there is, in 2020 there was refresher training in the use of the MESAI and SEBRAI assessment tools. I hope I pronounced those properly. There was also the technical working group established to review national diversion programs, rehabilitation and regeneration strategy. So that, and one case, for example, Madam Deputy Speaker, is that UNICEF provided $30,000 for the purchase of tablets and other hardware to support case management systems. Also in 2020, there was a distribution of hygiene packages from UNICEF to foster children and teen mothers. Again in 2020, there was a review of the foster care program to review committee implementation by the Probation and Child Welfare Board. And at New Horizon, there was a retrofitting of the classrooms funded from the OECS Juvenile Justice Rehabilitation Project. One of the major achievements was 100% pass rate by residents who attempted CSEC exams. And so this ministry wants to record its congratulations to those students who went there for some reason or the other, affecting them, having them in a facility to assist them, and yet they were able to be very successful in their CSEC exams. At the Habilitation Center, relationships are being forged with new partners to facilitate internships and training for the residents to assist with their reintegration into society. Madam Deputy Speaker, I want to, in the next 5 minutes that I have, indicate that we have been given a mandate by the people to deliver for them. We have started and we have demonstrated that we have a safer and stronger nation. I've given you the reasons why we are safer, why we are stronger. I've looked at the myth and the attempts to rewrite history in this parliament, and how we looked at how the previous administration dealt with our lands, our patrimony, and how they puffed it away wantonly, and I may say even unashamedly, while being critical of persons getting $1,000 a month for 3 months. Their period of administration of the Social Security show that they ripped the heart out of Social Security. All of the valves of the heart were ripped apart. We have the task now to restore Social Security to a point where we can say its life has been lengthened for future generations. We have looked, Madam Deputy Speaker, at what happened with La Valley. La Valley, where $85 million was tossed away, ending up in some people's pocket who are enjoying boat rides all over the world today. $85 million that you and I have to pay. And they go on gallivanting with the $85 million. Because there's nothing down at La Valley costs $85 million. Nothing! Not even the fence there anymore. The green fence. It's gone. You know? We have an opportunity to continue to deliver for ordinary people. And I want us to remember, Madam Deputy Speaker, that when we are put on this world, on this earth, we must understand that we are put on this earth to do good to other people. Stop being selfish and be selfless. We must appreciate, Madam Deputy Speaker, that always there'll be people who are lesser, less fortunate than others. And they need a hand up, not a handout, but a hand up. Madam Deputy Speaker, we are told, and I believe, that if we have the world's goods, where the government, even the education in your head is the world's goods, because when you're dead, it's gone. Your body goes down, the spirit goes back. No more war between your spirit and your flesh. If you have the world's goods and sees your brother in need, you're supposed to show compassion on your brother, otherwise God's love don't abide in you. That is what we are called. On this earth, it's not about you. Let go that ego. You are here, whether it's money or education or you have the world's goods, it is for the support and help of your brother who is in need. That is why when you hear me talking about universal health, brothers and sisters will be in need. And we are in the position to harness the world's good, to pool the resources, so that those in need will benefit from our help. From all of our help. And we would have lived up to the charge if you have the world's goods and sees your brother in need. Show compassion on your brother. Otherwise, God's love don't abide in you. Unless you believe with my words, read your Bible. 1 John 3 and verse 17. And it goes on in verse 18 to say, my little children, You do so not only in word, but in truth and in deed. In doing, not just talking. I've lived my life that way, to be doing things. It is why I feel proud about the housing program which I manage. It's why I feel proud about the solid waste and how they're doing the work. We do it in deed, not in word. May it please you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I do support the budget fully.
Thank you, Honourable Member for St. Christopher, number 8. The House now stands adjourned until 2 p.m.
For carnival coming, they say they go beat people, and they don't care about trouble, but tell them, don't bother with me. It's a different thing, 1963, because the road takes a war on carnival, on Sablato, and I have to say, any steel band man only venture to break his back. It's a long to the run to the Royal Hospital. I get information about the situation. They tell me Tokyo is a danger with desperado. They even call Sun Valley, Trinidad All Stars and Tripoli. They could play the mass as long as they don't tackle me when they pass. Because the road, everybody.
Honourable members, welcome to day 2 of the budget sit-in. Yesterday we would have had the budget address by the Honourable Minister of Finance, who would have spoken for 3 hours, 10 minutes. And so on day 2, as is customary,